the post-exploitation part on Windows. Once you have a higher privilege, what are the next things which you would be looking at? Whenever we talk about Windows post-exploitation, after gaining a system level privilege on the box, you can look for cached domain credentials, you can look for clear text password for users who are logged in locally or remotely. There are multiple tools which are capable of extracting these credentials from the Windows machine. So if you talk about Metasploit, we have multiple modules which can be loaded into Meterpreter to extract these credentials. Then there is one of the powerful tool called Mimikatz, which also has a capability to extract the credentials from the Windows box. Now, when we talk about credentials, what are the interesting credentials which are there in Windows? So Windows has security account manager, which we call it as SAM. Then we have cache domain credentials. Then we have local security authority and LSAS process memory. If we talk about SAM, this is nothing but a file which holds the NTLM hash of all the local user. By default, this particular file is located at system32/config/sam, and it is encrypted with a sys key, which is present in the security file, which is also located at the same location. So as an attacker, if you have highest privilege on that box, then you can use tools like SAMR dump, you can use tools like FGDump, or you can use Meterpreter shell to get credentials from SAM. Then cache domain credentials. Cache domain credentials are basically credentials which allows user to authenticate to the machine whenever the domain controller is not available. So at the simplest level, your machine basically stores your domain credentials in the machine cache. So there are multiple group policies which are available, or as a network admin, you can configure on that particular network, which would allow you to play with the number of how many cache domain credentials can be stored at every user laptop. Then we have local security authority, which is called as LSA. Local security authority is a protected system process that authenticates and logs users on the local computer. Then there is a very interesting process, very popular process called LSAS process memory. It is also a protected process. This particular process memory allows you to gain plain text credentials of the user, depending on which system you are trying to exploit. So in this next video, I'm going to show you the post-exploitation technique, and we are going to harvest the credentials from the Windows machine. I'm going to use the same session which we've just received from our last exploitation part. As you can see, we are running with the system privilege. Once I run the hash dump command, this is where your Meterpreter basically gets SAM file and the system file. It would take a system key from the system file, and then it would decrypt the SAM file. And this is how your NTLM hashes would look. So you have admin user, this is the part of your NTLM hash. This is nothing but an RID and so on. Then we can use post exploitation module, which could allow us to get the LSS secrets from that particular machine. Again, I'm going to set the session as 2, and we are going to get the LSS secret. So if you can look at this particular location, you will see that now we have got credentials of service user, which is a local user, and this is the password value. One of the key thing to note here is your LS secret also retrieves the value of $NL which has some significance when we try to crack the cache domain credentials. The next part is basically gaining access to the cache domain credentials. Metasploit again has a cache dump post exploit, which would allow us to get the hash of cache domain credentials. Key thing to note here is it basically fetch that $NL value. it would try to decrypt that cache dump, and it would give us ms cache to hash of this particular user. Now, as an attacker, we have to crack these hashes. Like you can use hashcat, which has a capability to crack ms cache to kind of hashes. Then we are going to load modules. This is how you can load mimikatz in the Meterpreter shell. And once you load the mimikatz, you can use inbuilt commands like wdigest or create underscore all, which would allow you to dump the plain text credentials from the LSAS memory. If you remember, when I was talking about the credentials which can be extracted from LSAS memory, it varies from your operating system. So if you have an operating system which is running on Windows 7, you can get the plain text credentials. If you are using Windows 10, then these credentials would be an NTLM hash of that particular user. Now, you may have already been aware that Windows 7 has come to an end. So Microsoft has declared that there are no security patches for Windows 7 from January 2020. It is decided to be an end of life for Windows 7.